Results out from Blue Label Telecoms today show an 11% rise in revenue to just over 17 billion rand for the year to May. Headline earnings a share, though, fell 6.5% due to a write-down at its call centre business and some other one-offs. Joining me with more on this are Brett and Mark Levy, joint CEOs of the group. Gents, thanks very much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Well, we were talking about the share price a little bit earlier. We had it up in the video wall. Those shares were up 2% in the market, broadly weaker today, so it's one of the few winners on the market. Mark, perhaps starting with you, you have declared a maiden dividend of 12 cents a share. It looks like investors like that. Why have you decided to declare that dividend now?
Well, our board had a look at our cash flows. We had a very good year from a cash generation point of view. We took our OPEX costs into account, our future CAPEX for the next coming year. And our board realised that we're in a position to pay or accelerate dividends. So from that point of view, we decided at our board meeting yesterday to pay. So we hope the market views us positively. I do believe that Blue Label is a dividend yielding company. So yes, it came a little bit early, but with good news.
Brett, some of the cynics might say you're paying out a dividend because you don't have enough growth opportunities out there to invest all this capital in. Is that the case?
Not at all, actually. We continuous on our acquisition trail. Unfortunately, we, up in the last 12 months, haven't found a sizable acquisition to make. We have made a few. We'll continue to look for acquisitions. We are a growth company from our acquisition, but simultaneously can offer hopefully a dividend return to our shareholders as well as acquisitional growth. So a bit of a combination of both.
Well, Mark, what sort of dividend policy are you looking at going forward from here?
Look, we paid a 4-to-1 at this stage. In our PLS, we spoke about a 3-to-1. I think the board will take into account what our future requirements are and then go from there.
Brett, acquisitions, you've obviously had a number of deals in the past. You're still bedding down growth in some of your international operations. Are you quite happy to do that in the meantime? Because it looks like they are starting to pay off, particularly Nigeria and Mexico. It looks like you're starting to gain traction in those markets.
100%. We look into investors. We're concentrating really on 4 countries at the moment, namely South Africa, Nigeria, Mexico and India. Looking to really grow our companies organically in these areas, and we'll put in as much money that we believe is required to grow it in these areas. And should we find acquisitions not only in South Africa but in Mexico, India or Nigeria, we are always keen to grow it both organically and acquisitionally.
Of course, revenue, your international distribution revenue up 72%, South African distribution revenue up 9%, and of course the South African market is a bit more mature for you. International distribution revenue, that's coming off a low base, but do you think we're going to see this really gaining traction, and can we expect strong growth continually from these operations?
Sure, we've had a stated strategy since inception to generate 50% of our profits from non-telephony and 50% of our profits from offshore. So we're definitely gaining traction. That was our strategy from inception. And yes, we're making headway towards it. So we're very excited about our international operations.
Brett, talk to us perhaps about India, though. Your portion of losses at Oxygen India, down from 26 million to 7 million, a loss nevertheless. You talk about an improved trading performance. What's happening in India? When would you expect this to be profitable like the others?
Well, the first thing we did was promise the market in November of last year that we'd become EBITDA positive, which we're happy in November we announced we had become EBITDA positive. More encouragingly is we've stayed EBITDA positive throughout this year. And you know, a significant drop from 27 million rand of last year to 6 million of this year. And really believe we're at the bottom of the hockey stick now, and the next part for us is increase and into profits. We've been in India for 7 years. We're talking about 1.2 billion people and probably 700 or 800 million people that play in the space that we do. So extremely exciting to be part of India and extremely exciting to be in India.
And obviously great opportunities in that market once you do really start gaining traction there.
Sure, we grew just in the last year from 55,000 points of presence to 75,000 points of presence in India. And you know, once you build the distribution, it's a very vast country, India. So we've tried to narrow it down into smaller regions and smaller parts of it and grow from there. So exciting, we're looking forward to India.
Do both of you travel to these operations regularly, keep your eye on things?
Well, we sit in the boards, so we spend probably 4 to 6 times in each geography. And it's good, it keeps our finger on the pulse, it allows us to understand what management are doing and then strategically align our group.
Mark, perhaps just taking a look at some of the numbers. Of course, you had revenue up 11%, headline earnings or core headline earnings were down, I think, 6%. You talk about interest earned was substantially lower because of the falling interest rates, which of course many people are happy about, perhaps not you. And also a reversal of some deferred tax assets. So we really are looking at some one-off items that led to that decrease in HEPS.
Yeah, we were quite pleased with our results. If you look at the loss in interest revenue due to the interest rates coming down, the once-off write-off, the impairment of our call centre. We had a good year, so we managed to make up some of those losses in other parts of our business. So we built these models going forward, and if interest rates change to up, well, that's great for us. But we're happy with what happened with our results.
Brett, how is prepaid affected by a recession such as we saw last year? Because of course it is discretionary. If you are a prepaid telephone user, you don't need to rush out and buy another voucher if you don't have cash, whereas if you're on a contract, you're tied into it.
I think definitely a lot more recession-proof, funnily enough. I think it wasn't as badly affected as your traditional markets out there. And I think it brought in a whole new market from the postpaid world of people that said, I really don't want these surprises at the end of every month and I can't afford it. So brought a whole new clientele into the prepaid world. Networks have become really clever actually on a hybrid model where it starts off as a postpaid contract. Will give you say 50 or 75 rand, and once you reach that limit, it then kicks into a prepaid. So these hybrid models are becoming clever, but generally the recession wasn't as bad on our market as probably it was for the car industry.
Any particular area that was affected by the recession?
Yeah, our call centres felt some pain.
So that's value-added services, and that was a 35% fall there.
Yeah, I think if you look at our call centres and add on to what we do on a general basis, that would be the only place where we felt the economic slowdown take effect, where a lot of these multinationals and international insurance firms overnight just said stop, not slow down, but stop. So it caused us to close 3 call centres. And, where we're grateful for in our core business, that seemed to grow, and the peripheral call centre business took some strain.
Brett, prospects for the year ahead?
I think over the last 12 months developed a lot of new products, put a lot of methodology behind it, have launched in the last 3 to 4 months 6, 7 new products. One of the real big products is electricity and a whole new way offline of how we're going to distribute it through the same system. Money transfer is probably the most exciting product since telecoms to come into our industry. We're doing Lotto, we're doing EFT, so generally the prospects are the launch of new products. And of course, one of the big things is the maintenance and development of the products that we do have out there. So a lot to look forward to this year, and if we can continue delivering 3 or 4 new products a year onto the same base, well then the future looks really good for Blue Label.
Brett and Mark, we have to leave it there. Thanks very much for coming in today.
Thank you.